No one really tells you what it's like to live alone when you're older. They just kind of pat your shoulder, hand you a frozen casserole, and say, hang in there. And sure, the first few nights are quiet. Like really quiet. You find yourself talking to the microwave, forgetting where you put your glasses, and wondering if this is it. But then something strange happens. You start doing things differently. Not because you have to, but because you can. Next thing you know, you're eating scrambled eggs at midnight, dancing in the hallway in your socks, and painting garden gnomes for fun. And you realize, hey, maybe living alone isn't the end of something. Maybe it's the start of something weird, wonderful, and surprisingly free. Today, I want to show you 10 unexpected, soul-hugging benefits of living alone as an older person, stuff no one really talks about. But you and me, we're going there. Let's get into it. Number 1. You can finally eat what you actually want. No judgy comments. You know what I had for dinner last night? Popcorn. And not the healthy air-popped, lightly salted kind either. No, I mean the butter-soaked movie theater kind. The one where your fingers glisten with guilt and satisfaction afterward. And I ate it while standing in the kitchen in my slippers at 8:47 p.m., watching the dog lick crumbs off the floor. And you know what? No one said a word, because no one was there to say a word. That's the secret joy they don't tell you about living alone, the sheer culinary rebellion of it all. I'm not talking about fine dining or some romantic Pinterest-worthy dinner for one. I'm talking about finally eating exactly what you crave, without compromise, guilt, or commentary. I remember when I was married, dinner was a negotiation. Do you really want spaghetti again? Didn't we have eggs this morning? And the ever-dreaded, that's not good for your cholesterol. Every meal felt like a joint decision, even when I was the one cooking it. Now, I've had cheese toast for breakfast 5 days in a row, and I have zero regrets. I even bought that weird chili mango sauce from the international aisle just to see what it was like. Turns out, terrible. But the point is, I got to try it without explaining myself to anyone. There's something beautifully honest about opening your fridge and asking, what would actually make me happy right now? And then following through. No permission required. Some nights it's roasted vegetables and wild rice. Other nights it's ice cream and leftover Chinese straight from the container. It's not about eating whatever you want in a reckless way. It's about reclaiming your taste buds, your curiosity, your cravings. It's about no longer catering to someone else's restrictions or routines. You finally get to ask yourself, what do I feel like tonight? And let the answer be enough. 2. No more waiting to be needed every single day. You know that feeling when your phone rings and before you even answer, you brace yourself? Because you already know someone needs something. For years, I lived in that space. Parenthood, marriage, aging relatives. It's a constant low-grade buzz of being on call. Not just for favors, but for emotional labor too. Being the one who holds everything together, the fixer, the listener, the planner, the one who fills in the gaps. And then, one day, after the house got quiet, really quiet, I realized something. I didn't have to be needed anymore. At first, I won't lie, it was disorienting. That silence felt sharp. I'd wake up and instinctively check my phone. Nothing. I'd walk past the empty laundry basket, the clean sink, and think, shouldn't I be doing something? But after a while, that silence softened. It became a kind of peace. There's a man I read about in a forum, Jack, 73, retired school principal. He said for 40 years he was the go-to guy. Mr. Reliable, his wife, his kids, his community, everyone leaned on him. Then he found himself living alone after a divorce. At first, he felt useless, invisible. But then, one Tuesday, he slept in until 9:30. No alarm, no agenda. He made pancakes for one. Took his time reading the paper, front to back. He said, For the first time in decades, I wasn't living for anyone else's timeline. I wasn't responding. I was living. That's what hits you. You're no longer tethered to someone else's stress or expectations. Your worth isn't measured by how useful you are today. You just are. And that's enough. Of course, you still show up for the people you love. You still answer the phone when it rings. But there's a difference now. You're not waiting for it. You're not sitting there, heartbeat tied to someone else's chaos. You're living your own quiet, solid rhythm. And that's powerful. 3. You learn what you actually like to watch and when to watch it. I didn't realize how many shows I'd been pretending to like until I started watching TV alone. For years, I thought I enjoyed crime dramas. Turns out, I hate them. I don't want to fall asleep to murder. I don't need another show where the detective has a dark past and an alcohol problem. I just want a good story, maybe a laugh, and for everyone to survive the episode. Living alone changed my entire relationship with entertainment. Now I've got this strange ritual. Every Thursday night, I rewatch episodes of Frasier. Don't ask me why. Something about the neurotic charm and piano interludes just makes me feel cozy. A woman in a YouTube comment said she watches Hallmark Christmas movies year-round because they feel like warm cookies. Another man, widowed at 68, confessed that he finally watched Downton Abbey and cried twice. He said, "Turns out I'm a sucker for period dramas and British accents. Who knew?" That's the thing. When you're not sharing the remote, you start discovering you. Not the version of you that goes along with the group watch or smiles through yet another war documentary. You learn what shows soothe you, inspire you, make you laugh out loud when no one else is in the room. Even the when becomes sacred. I know a woman who watches Korean dramas at 3 a.m. because the subtitles help her fall asleep. I know a guy who makes popcorn at noon on Sundays and has a solo cinema matinee in his recliner. It's no longer about what's trending or what your spouse wants to watch. It's about what makes your spirit exhale. 4. You can finally let the house be lived in without apology. You ever live in a house that didn't feel like yours, even when your name was on the deed? I remember a friend of mine, Larry, ex-military guy, 71, quiet as a mouse, but with the soul of a jazz drummer. He once said that for 40 years, he tiptoed through his own living room because his wife had a thing about presentation. Pillows, just so. Candles never burned. Glass coffee table always wiped clean like a crime scene. It looked like a home out of a catalogue and felt about as personal. After she passed, he said he felt two things: grief and guilt. But then came a third emotion he didn't expect. Relief. Not relief that she was gone, but relief that for the first time he didn't have to pretend his house was a showroom. He moved the couch to face the window so he could watch birds. Replaced the rug with one that was warm, not pretty. Bought a recliner so big it looked like a La-Z-Boy had eaten another La-Z-Boy. He said, "It's ugly as sin, but it hugs my back like a long-lost friend." That's what living alone gives you. The freedom to let your house be what it was always meant to be. A soft landing place, not a museum. I'm not saying we all need to live like feral raccoons. But if you've ever spent years trying to keep a home guest-ready, you'll know the joy of finally saying, "You know what? This coffee stain on the table, that's from the best cup I had all week. It stays." Your house becomes your canvas, not for impressing anyone, but for living in the way your soul actually craves. You let the dishes soak. You leave the crossword half done. The laundry might sit clean in the basket for a few days, and you don't lose sleep over it. Because now the house breathes with you, and that's something worth holding on to. 5. You develop a wildly funny, odd friendship with yourself. Let's be honest, friend, living alone can get quiet. Too quiet some days. But then something kind of weird and beautiful starts to happen. You stop feeling lonely and start getting, well, weird, in the best way. I talk to myself now, constantly. Not in a call the doctor kind of way, but more like I've become my own old married couple. I'll be in the kitchen like, "Okay, genius, where'd you put the cinnamon this time?" Or, "Well played, sir. You just spilled coffee down your robe again." And the thing is, I actually laugh. I mean, really laugh. The kind that comes from knowing your own quirks so well they start to feel like an inside joke. There's a woman online, June, 76, who said she's been alone for a few years now. She's named all the plants in her house and talks to them like co-workers. "Phil, you're looking droopy again. You all right, bud?" Her daughter visited and said, "Mom, you're losing it." June replied, "No, honey, I finally found it." That's what this chapter does. It makes you friends with yourself again. You stop performing. You start noticing the small things, how you hum when you cook, or how you always sigh before folding laundry. You catch your own facial expressions in the mirror and go, "Man, I've been making that face since 1982. There's a strange kind of joy in being your own best company. You say the jokes out loud. You dance like an idiot to a song no one else can hear. You wear mismatched socks and don't give it a second thought. And sure, some days are quiet in the achy way. But other days? They're filled with the kind of laughter and conversation that comes from finally not needing anyone else to validate your existence. You're not losing your mind. You're gaining a companion, one who's been with you all along. 6. You control the soundtrack of your life. Literally. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you played your music at full volume in every room of the house just because? Not because it was polite. Not because someone else wanted to listen. Not through headphones. Not with a volume knob halfway. I mean really played it. Filled the whole space like it was a concert hall, even if the only audience was your cat and a dusty ceiling fan. Living alone hands you the keys to the stereo, and more than that, to the emotional landscape of your day. I've got a record player now. Picked it up secondhand and polished it like it was an old friend. Saturday mornings I throw on some old Sam Cooke and dance while making scrambled eggs. Tuesday evenings, a little Johnny Cash and a bourbon. Some nights it's just instrumental piano while I sit in the quiet and think. There's this man I read about, Walter, 82, widowed. Used to be a jazz musician back in the day. Now lives alone in a small apartment. Every night he plays Miles Davis as the sun goes down. Neighbors say they hear the music through the walls, soft and steady. It's become his way of marking time, like a personal ritual. He said, "The music keeps me company. Sometimes it's the only thing that knows what I'm feeling." That hit me hard, because music, when no one's around to judge it or shush it, becomes something else entirely. It becomes medicine, memory, movement, prayer. You don't need to justify your playlist to anyone anymore. If you want gospel at 6 a.m. and classic rock at midnight, that's your business. If you want to sing off key at the top of your lungs while cleaning the bathtub, sing on, superstar. The soundtrack becomes yours, and little by little, those notes start filling more than just the room. They fill you. 7. You can take up weird but wonderful hobbies without explaining yourself. Let me tell you a little story about Harold. Harold is 74, lives in a little house out near the edge of town, drives an old blue Ford, and has recently developed a passionate, and I mean passionate, obsession with painting ducks. Not real ducks, mind you, wooden ones. He buys them in bulk from a craft store, paints each one with tiny cowboy hats and little vests, and names them. Then he lines them up on a shelf by the window like a posse of feathery sheriffs. Now, if Harold had a partner still living with him, he might have been told, "What on earth are you doing with your time?" Or worse, "That's ridiculous. Why don't you take up something normal like chess or gardening?" But now? Harold smiles at his duck army and says, "They understand me." That's the joy of living alone. You get to follow your curiosity without a jury box watching. There's no one to give you the look when you bring home 6 bags of yarn, despite never knitting a day in your life. No one to question why you suddenly want to learn calligraphy or start metal detecting in the backyard. And here's the magic part. Those weird hobbies? They heal you. They stretch your mind. They make the days feel shorter and the laughs come easier. I knew a woman named Bernice who once started baking dog biscuits shaped like Elvis. For no reason. She didn't even own a dog. But she said it gave her something to look forward to. Something that was hers. That's what living alone gives you. Permission to be delightfully, unapologetically odd, and the space to enjoy it fully. No explanations, no negotiations, just you and your wonderfully weird passions. 8. You're the boss of your schedule, even if that means naps at 10 a.m. I'll be honest, I didn't expect one of the greatest joys of living alone to be the sheer freedom to sleep when I'm tired and eat when I'm hungry. But here we are. I remember the first time I took a nap at 10 a.m. just because I could. No reason. I'd been up early, felt a little droopy, so I made some tea, curled up in my recliner, and let the sun kiss my face as I drifted off like a contented cat. Woke up around 11:30 with absolutely no guilt, just a soft little smile. That's when it hit me. I run this ship now. No more syncing your days around someone else's schedule. No more dinners at 6 because that's what we've always done. No more staying awake through bad TV shows or rushing out the door at someone else's pace. You want to have brunch at 3 p.m. Do it. Pancakes for dinner? Who's stopping you? Living alone means your calendar starts looking like a quilt stitched from your favorite colors, not some printed planner full of obligations. And the best part? You can shift it at will. You wake up one morning and decide you want to start your day with a walk instead of chores. Go on, lace up. Feeling lazy? Take the whole afternoon to sip coffee and listen to old records. There's no boss here. No clock to punch. Just the quiet joy of doing things on your time. Slow, gentle, and completely yours. 9. You get to redefine what home feels like. There's something sacred that happens when you're the only one choosing how your home feels. Not just how it looks, but how it feels when you walk through the door. Before, maybe your house had to be some kind of compromise. The couch he liked, the wall colors she insisted on, the good dishes you weren't allowed to actually use. But now you get to make it a reflection of who you are today, not who you were 30 years ago. I once knew a woman named Stella. Bright soul, loved jazz, had a wicked sense of humor. After her husband passed, she redid her entire kitchen in flamingo pink. I kid you not. Pink tiles, pink tea kettle, even a pink chandelier. She said he hated the color. I've always loved it, so now I'm finally coming home to me. That's the beauty of it. You get to turn your space into a sanctuary. Hang whatever pictures you want. Keep the lights low and cozy or bright and energetic. Leave your books stacked in every room if that feels good. Fill the place with plants or candles or silly trinkets from flea markets that make you smile for reasons no one else understands. Because home isn't about impressing guests anymore. It's about creating a place that exhales when you walk in the door. The walls don't have to be perfect. The bed can stay unmade. And if you want to hang a painting of a cat playing a banjo in your hallway, well, go right ahead. You're not just decorating a home anymore. You're crafting a nest for your soul. 10. You become the hero of your own story, even if you never expected to. Now this one's tender. Most people don't set out to live alone later in life. Life just unfolds that way sometimes. A loss, a separation, kids moving away. Circumstances shifting like tides we didn't see coming. I know a man named Reuben. He was married 43 years, raised 4 kids, worked hard, loved harder. After his wife passed, he told me he felt like someone had dropped him in the middle of a movie halfway through and forgot to give him the script. He said, "I kept waiting for someone to come tell me what to do next." But no one came. So Reuben started doing small things. Fixed the leaky sink. Learned how to make his own coffee just the way he liked it. Figured out how to work the microwave without burning everything. Took walks. Read books. Had long talks with his dog, who, let's be honest, probably gave the best advice. And slowly he realized he wasn't just surviving, he was becoming something new. Living alone didn't make him invisible. It made him brave. See, when there's no one else around to lean on, something remarkable happens. You discover you've been strong this whole time. You learn to make decisions you never thought you could. You find comfort in the quiet. You become the one who shows up for yourself, day in and day out. You don't have to be flashy about it. Heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear slippers and shuffle out to get the mail while muttering about the price of eggs. But make no mistake, you're doing something powerful. You're writing your own ending, one that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval or direction. And that, my friend, is a kind of courage this world doesn't celebrate nearly enough. So yeah, living alone? It's not always easy. There are quiet nights and cold leftovers. But somewhere between your second nap of the day and your fourth attempt at assembling that shelf with too many screws, you start to realize something. You're not just filling time, you're living on your own terms, you're figuring things out, you're laughing at your own jokes, you're learning what makes you tick after all these years. And that's nothing short of heroic. So if no one's told you today, let me be the first. You're doing great, better than you think. And if you found your own little joys in living alone, whether it's singing to your plants or eating soup straight from the pot, I'd love to hear about it. Drop your favorite solo living moment in the comments, hit that like button if this felt like a warm hug, and hey, subscribe for more real talk like this. We're just getting started.